Hello, everyone. This is Dr. B from Steps to the Future, welcoming you to another C3 with Dr. B. So, for those of you that are just tuning in and haven't been on for a while, I changed it from College and Career Conversations with Dr. B because for me, whatever type of education you're doing post secondary is going to lead to a career, hopefully. So, we're really focusing on career awareness, career development, and career exploration. So, with that in mind, I had told you previously that I'm always going to try to bring like a public service announcement to you, things that students could be doing, things that students could be looking forward to. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about summer plans as we get going. But first, I just wanted to share this screen with you that will hopefully show you a little bit about this summer program. So the application is not open yet, but I had the great fortune of doing a webinar with one of the directors of this program. So it's the Princeton Summer Journalism Program. And you really need to pay attention to the eligibility requirements because it is income based. So they are looking for students where they say the combined income of parents or child support or whatever must not exceed $60,000. So this is an income-based program. It is not open yet, but go on the website and there is a place where you can put in your email and get notification when this opens up. So again, that's something that I think you should be looking for. And as I said, we'll talk a little bit more about summer plans and some things that you could be doing. So one of the things that I'm really thrilled about this evening, so I decided, you're trying to always figure out what should I do, how should I structure this, and many times I'm on here and it's just me talking at you or talking with you. And if anybody you're out there listening, please throw in some comments. Let us know where you're from, so I know who's out there, so I know who's listening. So one of the things I decided to do is, have a co-host every now and then. I belong to the Independent Educational Consultants Association. And one of the great things about our association is that we have affinity groups. One of our affinity groups are the Black IECs. So it's a group of Black and Brown folks who come together once a month and we talk about any commonalities that we have, an application season, any questions that we may have about something doing I can't talk this evening. Something doing with college and career. And so I, decided I'm going to invite some folks on. So whoever shows up will be here. And I am so thrilled tonight because I do have one of my colleagues on. And when we come back, I will give her a chance to introduce herself and you'll get to know who she is. Some of you have met her before, but she will be back here in about 10 seconds. Then we'll be back. Okay, and we are back, and I have my co-host with me this evening. April, introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and where you are.
So I'm April Paris Joseph. I am outside of Seattle, is where I practice. Um, I love working with the kids, with the teenagers, and helping them find their way to the next path. I don't know what else to say.
So, well, that's pretty good. So, one of the things you said is you're located in Seattle, but folks, I do want you to remember because of this virtual world we all live in, April is available to you all over the world as long as the time zones work out. So, April, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So, this evening, actually, I just wanted to talk to students about and families about some ideas for the holiday break. We've got some things coming up. We've got some time coming, up where students are going to be out of school for a while. But I really want you to start thinking about how are you going to use that time. So here's just a few suggestions that we have. Take what you can use and leave the rest alone. Now, for folks that know me, if you know me, you know what the first one's going to be. Because there's no way I'm going to be on here talking to you and not talking about you need to be reading, okay? Um, I try to read something every day, whether it's a magazine, a few pages out of a book. I remember when I was a kid, we used to fight over who was going to read the back of the cereal box. So find something to read. What about you, April? What do you think about reading?
I think it's super important. I love to read. I wish I did it as I had such a discipline like you have to read. I'm always seeing what you've read lately and what you're suggesting to read, and I think I've got to do that. Um, but I love it. I've got a few books sitting behind me that I'm looking to pick up over the break. Some of them are intellectually stimulating, and I'll be honest, some of them aren't so
Yeah.
intellectually stimulating. But it's, oh, I think you had a post a couple weeks ago to kind of remind students that it doesn't have to be highbrow literature to be
It
good
does
reading,
not.
right?
Yes.
These graphic novels, those count.
They sure do. They
Yeah.
sure do. I know I was telling folks, I've been reading so many books that were about social justice and those types of topics that for a while I just had to leave those alone. And I was actually reading romance novels by Black authors. I found this one romance author, Jasmine Guillory, and fell in love with them when I was lived in Rhode Island. I used to live next door to my husband's aunt, and she loved Harlequin romances.
Oh, yes.
So we used to just read those because they were just, they're mindless to read, but it's such an escapism. So I've kind of gone back to that. So when I feel like, okay, I need a break from all this heavy stuff, let me
Yeah.
go and find me a new romance novel. So I actually was in the library and found another one. So that might be what I decide to read over this break. And I see we have a couple of people watching. Please make sure you join in the conversation. What are some of you reading that are out there, and what would you recommend? And let us know who you are and where you're located, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching it on the replay. So definitely join in the conversation. So another thing that young folks could be doing, and this is especially geared toward our seniors. So for our seniors that have applied to colleges are going to be communicating with them. And you need to make sure that you are checking all of those ways that the college may be communicating with you: portals, emails, texts. Whenever you apply to a school, a college will send you a message back asking you to create a portal. So look for that message. If you have not created your portals, you better get to it. So, April, what do you think about this? I know you're going through the same thing with your students.
No, I'm totally on board with this one. I think it's interesting. University of Washington actually isn't giving the students a portal this year, which is
Oh,
weird. But this does not change what Dr. B just told you kids to do, because you should be reading the email fully and seeing what the instructions are, because they will tell you how to get into the portal, how to log in. And I had a student who hadn't logged into their portal. And I, nudged them along in a meeting to do that. And they had been offered a scholarship that they didn't know about.
see
So
that?
the information is there.
And sometimes I'll hear my kids will say, well, we don't really do email. We do this. You know what? You have to communicate in the language and the mode in which the college communicates
Mm,
with you. So get over that, folks. If the college is doing portals, if they're doing emails, if they're doing texts, you need to be ready to communicate back with them. So parents, every now and then you want to nudge your child, especially if they've already submitted applications, and ask them, have you created your portal? And have you checked it? Don't just create it. You got to check it and see if any messages are coming through there.
okay.
So that is definitely one that we want students to take care of.
Mhm.
Here's another one. Oh, go ahead, April.
No, I was just going to say, what an important life skill, right? I had a couple of my private clients this year, the parents said, oh, we need you to just text him. Don't use your portal or email because text is better for him. And I said, but the professor's not going to give him a choice in a year.
Exactly.
So you have to, students, you have to learn to meet the people who are evaluating at you where they're coming from.
I so agree with you. I so agree with you. One of my kids said to me, so, we all have our student management systems, and we talk to our kids through that portal. And one student said, oh, did you send that? I said, did you check your portal? Oh, I forget to check that. I said, oh, well, that's where it is. So I'm not telling you again. That's why
Mhm.
we go through this whole orientation on how to use your portal. So make sure you use it. So the next subject, This is one that, hmm, I get a lot of calls. I don't know about you, April, but I get a lot of calls from people saying, okay, we've applied to these schools or we've done this, and now can you help us find scholarships? And I'm like, hmm. So we know as professionals that when you're researching colleges, you're also looking for scholarship money at the same time. It's not two separate things. It's not, oh, college is over here looking for where I want to attend. And oh, paying is over here. It's all together. But one of the things I've really been trying to get my students to focus on is to look for scholarships, especially those that are local.
Mhm.
I think a lot of those local scholarships go unfunded, or no one
Unused.
applies for them.
Yeah, no, that's really true. And I always kind of have this conversation with parents and students where everyone is looking for that big number scholarship. So, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation aren't giving out that many. The Robertson over at Duke and UNC, they're only giving out so many of those. Um, so you really have to go for these little bit less competitives. You may be qualified, but so are thousands of other kids that are vying for that set of money. These local ones, and they're
Exactly.
almost begging. Our local Links chapter um, actually
Okay.
called me and they said, "How do we find the kids to apply?"
Oh my goodness. That's crazy. And see, April just gave you a great idea of an organization that gives out scholarships. So look for those organizations. Now, I know here in North Carolina and in Rhode Island, we have community foundations that give out scholarships. So
Mhm.
one that I want to share with you, and this is the one in this is actually our place in here in North Carolina. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. So this is the Cumberland Community Foundation, and they give out scholarships. And if you go on their website, and this is for those of you that live in Cumberland County, you go on their website and you get the timeline. So this actually does not open up until January 17th. And that's it. So the 17th is for those people who are planning on renewing a scholarship if it's a renewable one. But for everyone else, it opens up February 16th. And then you can click on this link here and it will take you to this window where you will get a spreadsheet showing you the types of scholarships and the criteria for eligibility for these particular scholarships. Just about every state, city, district somewhere has a community foundation. For those of you, I always got to talk about Little Rhodey. For those of you in Rhode Island, you're going to go right to the Rhode Island Foundation and go to the scholarship tab, and you can browse through the scholarships, and you will see the scholarships that are available to students that are in Rhode Island. So again, it's really important that you start looking for these scholarships and don't wait. And some scholarships too, you don't have to be a senior to be looking for scholarships. There are scholarships out there for younger people. Um, so take advantage of those.
And go back to your portals from where you applied, because some of the
Yes.
schools are sending information about scholarships that now you have to do a second step to apply to get. And if you aren't reading the portal, if you're not reading your
Yeah.
emails, you're not going to know, and you're going to miss these due dates. So
Oh my
that's
God.
another reason to do
Yes.
number two.
That is so important. And I forgot about that. That's right, because they will sometimes you might automatically be considered for a scholarship, but there are other times they will expect you to do an additional application or an essay, or even if they're saying to you, hey, we want to invite you to come to this interview for this scholarship, and you missed the deadline because you didn't bother to look at the portal. No, 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 folks, can't do that. Not a good look at all.
That's
Not a
right.
good look. And again, just want to invite any of our viewers out there to join in. What comments do you have? What questions do you have? We'd love to have you join in the conversation. So this next one, this is kind of deadly. I just have to say, this is kind of deadly. We're in this weird place now with test prep and test optional and to submit or not to submit. COVID turned everything upside down and everything on its head. So we're in the place now where we really have to have a lot of conversations with students around test prep and whether or not
Mhm.
you need to have a test score. I've been telling my students that I want them all to have at least one test score. Then we will decide school by school whether or not that score will be submitted. But if you're one of those students who is a great test taker and you're able to get some decent scores, and people always say, well, what's a decent score? It really depends upon the school. So, but say you got a great score, and we want to be able to use that for some schools or for all of your schools. We can't do it if you don't have a test score. So, I'm recommending that students start doing, especially juniors, start doing some test prep. We've got Khan Academy. We've got so much stuff online. There are some wonderful test prep companies out there. I'm not going to really name any of them because I'm friends with people on both sides, and I'm on the advisory board for one. So you'll find them out there, and every now and then I'll post something on my Facebook page, so you will see that. So what's going on with your kids, April, and this whole test prep, especially for juniors?
Yeah, I mean, I think I totally agree with you. It's Akil Bello who talks about it in 3 phases,
Yes.
right? You have to decide if you're going to prep, decide if you're going to take, and then decide if you'll submit. And those are all 3 separate decisions.
Yes.
But what I tell my students is, in order to decide if you're going to submit, you have to take it. And if you're going to take it, you might as well prepare so that you can do as well as you can.
Yeah.
Right?
That is so true.
That's how you have an option if you don't have anything to pick from.
Exactly. That is so true. So North Carolina is an ACT state. And for folks who don't understand that, some states are ACT states, and actually Rhode Island is a SAT state. What that means is that the state has a contract with those companies to provide an assessment for their public school juniors. So either in February or March, students in North Carolina will be taking the ACT, where the cost is picked up by the Department of Public Instruction. Students, you need to take that assessment seriously. I always ask my kids, so what kind of prep did you do for this? Oh, yeah, we just went in and took it and what have you. That is not the right answer. Take that seriously, because first of all, it's being offered to you at no additional cost to you out of your pocket. And second of all, if you do well on it, then you don't have to worry about, should I take another test? Do well on that one, but you need to know what you're facing. Both of these organizations offer free practice tests. You can do so much test prep. But you got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I know we're seeing this, and we really want, and this is the time for juniors to start thinking about it. So I know there's actually some testing going on next month, but I'm telling my juniors to start really looking at testing starting in March. Try to get some testing in. I really would love for all juniors to get at least one test in before they leave school for the end of the year. And I've been actually telling my students to kind of stay away from from May, because if students have AP exams or IB exams, those are held in May. So rather than have an SAT or an ACT also on your plate, skip that month for those assessments, but look at the other months. And you do need to look at the calendar of deadlines, because if you miss the regular deadline, then you have to pay a late fee, and they already cost a ridiculous amount of money. So, and I don't know about April, but I'm not in favor of tests, but they're a necessary evil. So we don't have a choice. So our job is to make sure our students have the best information possible in getting ready for these tests, and to help advise them on should they submit or not submit. So we have to stay on top of this stuff. Actually, I think I'm doing a webinar with one of our test prep companies. I think it's Thursday. I think it's this Thursday, actually. So it'll be interesting to see what's new on the testing landscape.
Yeah. I think I have my students on about the same timeline. I like that March through June for that first test. My exception would be kids that are hoping to be recruited for athletics. And them, I pull them back, and I like them to take the August before their junior year starts.
Yes.
It's just nice to have that score in pocket to be able to say to coaches, I already have this score, depending on where they're trying to go. And that's so much of this, right? What's a good score? If you're a 4.0 unweighted, 4.9 weighted GPA,
Mm.
a 1200 isn't a good score.
No, it's
But if
not.
you're, if you have a different GPA, so it's aligning the GPA and the score, it's aligning it depending on where you're applying. There's so many different
Mhm.
factors.
Yeah.
I think people want a quick answer, and there just isn't one.
No, I think the two most common words in our profession now is "it depends." We say that so much, and then people get frustrated, but it really does because, with all the thousands of colleges we have in the United States, no two have exactly the same criteria. So again, that's why I know April does, and I know I do. We spend a lot of time researching and online and attending professional development opportunities so we can learn what's new in this for this college. Now, one of the things April said that I want you to really pay attention to when she talked about athletes, April actually specializes in athletes. So if you're out there and you're looking for someone to work with your student who is a recruited athlete and needs some extra guidance and what have you, reach out to April, and I'll make sure that you have her contact information. Okay, next thing, summer plans. Now, somebody's probably saying, wait a minute, it's not even winter yet, and you're talking about summer plans. That's because a lot of the summer programs that maybe pay, or even this particular one that I showed you earlier, the Princeton Summer Journalism program, they have deadlines, and those deadlines will be starting, those applications will be opening up probably like January, February, but they'll close, March, April, because these folks are trying to get their numbers. They want to know who is coming to their summer camp so they can make sure that they have the staff and the faculty and the supplies and the resources. And if it's a residential program, they want to make sure that they have enough rooms. So that's why I'm talking about summer plans here in November before we even hit the first day of winter, because it's coming up. It's coming up.
Yeah,
What
and
are your
summer.
kids seeing?
So I'm in the same boat. I actually sent an email out to all of my freshmen, sophomores, and juniors to say, let's get together and talk about next year's classes and summer plans.
Yeah,
And the goal is to do this before the Christmas vacation so
yeah.
that they can spend some time maybe researching different programs and really thinking about what do they want to do uh,
Hmm.
with this time. It's a great time for self-discovery. It's a
Yes.
great time to explore different interests. So my student who says they want to be a screenwriter, how about how about a writing seminar, even if it's just virtual? Get some critique on your writing from somebody who really knows and get a feel for what that's like.
Yeah. And I even tell my kids, some of my students have said, well, I'm going to get a job for the summer. I said, well, have you been thinking about where you would like to work? Even if it's, retail, or if it's a grocery store. Remember, students are going to be coming home from college for summer break, and they're going to grab those jobs before you do. So they'll be back home from summer break before you're out of school for the year. So start looking around. If that's your plan, where are you going to work? Stop creating your network. Students don't understand that they already have a network. You do have a network. People that your parents may know, people that live in your neighborhood. Make sure that you get in there and that you do that, because it's really important.
And I love that. It always reminds me to tell the students they've got to get on things early. They want to wait. Like they think they can walk in on June 1st and no one's going to have taken this job and whatever. But this is a principle that will hold them through college, right? When are you going
Sure.
to decide to go to career services and look into what you're going to do that
Yeah.
following summer in terms of work?
Yeah.
Internships can pay,
They
but
can.
the internships that pay aren't going to be there in May. Those
No.
were gone in November, December, and maybe January. So if you're interested in that, you have to get on it early. And this is just good practice.
It sure is. It sure is. So thank you, Kim, for joining us. So with us this evening, we have my colleague, April, who is also an IEC. She is based in Seattle, Washington, outside of Seattle, Washington, and she's here this evening as my co-host. So as I had said earlier, I'm going to have some of my colleagues from the Black IECs, from the Independent Educational Consultants Association, come on and just co-host with me, because you get tired of just me talking all the time. So you get an opportunity to meet my colleagues and see what they do also. So we just finished talking about summer plans. So here's another idea that you could do: virtual visits, virtual sessions. One of the silver linings in the pandemic, if there is to be a silver lining, is that colleges really have improved their virtual offerings, whether it's a live session with an admissions person or a student, or whether it's a recorded one. Many of them have done such a fantastic job. Now, some people will say, so what about, can't we just go visit campuses during this time? Remember now, the students are on Christmas break. So you're going to go on a campus where you're not going to see too many students because they're not on campus. People will be in their offices. The staff will be small. That's there. So you can always do a walkthrough or a drive-through, but it's really nice to visit a campus when students are on the campus, so you really get a better feel of it. But again, take this time to go out and visit if you can, or like I said, a lot of the virtual stuff is really good.
Yep. Yep. I
Wow.
totally agree.
Yeah.
And the break is a good time to talk to alum from your high school that went to the college you're interested in.
Oh, that's really good.
That's a way to kind of add a layer, right? Have like your 5 soapbox questions that you want to ask these students. Ooh, job shadowing. I love job shadowing, Kim.
I know. And that's so great, Kim. So we have a comment here from one of our viewers. Kim is saying job shadowing is very informational, as well as to allow the student to see what is expected in a career. Yes, get out there and see what people do. I remember one of my students, who is now a junior at Wake Forest, did a job shadow, and he asked a doctor in one of the local hospitals if he could shadow him, and he allowed him to. And after we were doing a debriefing, I said, so tell me what you learned. Tell me 3 takeaways. One of the takeaways he had was how important nurses are to a hospital. He got to see that nurses do a lot of work. I don't think people understand how overworked nurses are and how understaffed many hospitals are. But he was able to see that, and he said, I know if that's the direction I decide to go in, I'm going to make sure I treat my nurses like spectacular. He said, because I did not realize how much work they do.
Yeah. My mom was a doctor, and she used to always tell us growing up. She had stopped practicing when she was raising us, but she said the nurses are who are taking care of everybody.
Yeah.
And how important they were.
That's so true.
I did a job shadow myself in in college. And what I learned was that I didn't want the job. I thought I wanted all along.
Yes.
So it's really important. And the one thing I tell my students now is I wish I had done that job shadow between my freshman and sophomore year in college. I waited until my junior year that summer. And so I went into my senior year, wanted to completely change my course trajectory of what I was studying. And, as many parents on your call might say at that point, yeah, no, sweetheart, you need to finish. Your 4 years time clock is ticking.
So true. So true. And Kim, I love the comments that you're putting in, and just about work-based learning at its best. That's right. Getting those internships. And then she agreed with what you said about, bingo. That's what happens when you don't pay attention, or you don't try to figure out what you want to do. My youngest son, when he was in college, I remember, he said he wanted to be a phys ed teacher. Okay, that's what you want to be. Fine, we'll support you. But then I remember he ended up. It was his junior year, and I want to say maybe it was first semester. He said, I don't think I want to go into education. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, okay.
Now what?
So you need to talk to your academic advisor and figure out what you need to do in order to, because I need you to graduate. He did end up having to go an extra year because he picked up a minor and still had to, not all the other credits transferred. I was just happy he was finishing. I mean, if he had gone on the 6-year plan, I think I might have been a little less, not as supportive of that. But he did ended up going and doing a 5-year plan and did okay. So that is important. One of the sites that I want to share with you share with the folks. So this is a great site. I'm on it quite a bit. It's called the College Tour, and it's fairly new. I want to say maybe 3 years old. I'm not exactly sure. But what they do, they have partnered with the different colleges, and they have produced these very professional videos
Mm.
about these schools. And you can go on the site, and as you can see, some of the colleges that are listed here, and get some information about schools. And one of the things I really like about it is it's most of the colleges are colleges that maybe you haven't heard of. April and I have probably heard of many of these colleges because that's our job, to be reading about different colleges and to learn about colleges that aren't as familiar to us as some of the others. But some people will look at this and say, well, what's that? This isn't one of the name schools. You know, every college is good for someone. And I don't mean that in that, just settle. Um, there's so much that goes into finding a college that's a fit for you other than the name of the college. So I strongly recommend that you go to this site and look at it. Look at a couple of videos a day or every other day or not. And it's something you could do together, and it's kind of fun. It's
I
kind
would
of
say I'm such a college nerd. I do this on the bike at the gym.
oh,
I don't know what that says about me, but it's just true.
well, I'm kind of like right there with you. Kind of right there with
That's
you.
why I felt safe.
Yeah. And Kim had another good comment here about making sure you go to your career center. Yes, folks, you know, I am currently the president-elect of the North Carolina Career Development Association. So I am all about you hitting those career centers, and do not be waiting until your junior year. Like I tell my kids, freshman year, first semester, you need to get in that career center and make sure those folks know who you are, you know what they have to offer, and take advantage of everything that is there for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So our next thing, be creative, learn a new skill. Like it's enough time to learn something new. I was watching the interview that Michelle Obama was doing with Robin Roberts, and she was talking about her new book, and she was talking about during the pandemic how everybody's brain was a little a little anxious and feeling despair and just so many things, and then that isolation. So she learned how to knit, and she was showing some of the items that she had made and what have you. So again, you can learn a new skill. You can learn how to cook. Those of you going away to college, you better know how to get in that kitchen and cook. And not wait for somebody to come and feed you. Get creative. What is it? Is there a class you can take? I know here we have a couple of workshops where you can go and learn how to make pottery and what have you. And I'm thinking, oh, I need to jump on this. I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I haven't done it yet, but now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, that might be something for me to do during the Christmas break.
Yeah. I think I love cooking. So cooking is the one that came to mind for me, especially for these kids. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden they leave home and they're like, wait a minute, I can't eat. And so Christmas is a great time to do that. So is the summer. Right. Anytime when you're home and you can just get in the kitchen, but any kind of life skill, like, do you actually know how to balance a checkbook?
Yep.
Do you know how to do laundry? I mean, that's not really fun, but
Right.
it's useful. Do you want to learn how to paint? And I went to a thing with some friends. Someone organized this wine paint and sip, and I thought this is going to be terrible. And I actually have something in my room that I made. Now, listen, nobody's going to buy it from an art gallery.
Right.
I'm pretty proud of my little painting project that I did. So just like you said, kind of reducing anxiety,
Yes.
finding joy in life outside of just work.
Yes. And Kim has also said, let me see if I can get this over here. She has said, those life skills come in a clutch. They sure do. They sure do. It's so important for our folks to be out there learning how to do things. And I love this one that you said, Kim, about entrepreneurship. It is. I mean, I didn't plan on being a business owner. I always thought I was going to work in a school and work for somebody else. And April too, and we had to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
But again, just looking at that passive income, well, ours isn't so much passive because we're out here always with our kids. But then again, how do you we what we love to do, what we've learned how to do in past lives, we've been able to turn it into small business. So again, that's a great comment, Kim. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as we go on, this is again one of my favorite ones, and this goes right along with some of the stuff Kim was saying. So informational interviews, and what you said earlier, April, about doing that internship and realizing that wasn't what you really wanted to do. Here's another way for students to figure out if this is what they want to do: informational interviews. There's sets of questions where you can reach out to people that are in a particular career field that is interesting to you. So go and talk to those folks, figure out, what it is that you can do in order to learn some stuff. The URL I have here this is a URL for a site. It's called Career Sherpa, and a career coach, Hannah Morgan, wrote this wonderful article on informative questions. Just gonna Okay, I'm trying to add this to the stream, but it's like add it's whoops. That doesn't seem to be working. There it is. There it is. So this is Career Sherpa, and it's just giving you, two good informational questions to ask. This is for adults. This is for high school students. The questions are really good, and I encourage everyone to look at them. First question: can you share a bit about your professional background? That's definitely one. What normal day look like for you? Another question: what made you want to work in this industry? So talk to find out what they're doing. To work to intern to get into this industry. What college education been on your career path? So those are the types of questions that you hope you have the opportunity to ask someone who has been doing a particular area that you may be interested in. And if what's so great about this is that you get that opportunity to learn whether or not this is something that you want to do. And if it's not, then you save some money, some time.
Yes.
And what's better than that? What's better than
I
that?
think all that ties together, right? The information, use virtual tours, they all kind of head towards that same direction of figuring out who you are and how you fit with what you think you want to do, or how you don't fit. Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of acting up on us, April.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, here we are. It's online, it's the internet.
We just got to roll with it.
Okay. I think we're back, but we'll keep going. Those information. Yeah. Can you say that again, April? Because you were breaking up a little.
I'm just saying it all kind of ties together, right? These informational interviews, virtual tours, job shadowing, all of these are different ways to figure out how you do or don't fit with the career and the path you think you want to go on. Did you get me that time? Nope. I wonder if I can.
But having a word. Yeah, we're just this. I don't know. This internet is acting up here. I can see it tomorrow. I don't know what's going on, but we'll know. So another way to use your time, and this is one of my favorites. I love doing this when I'm walking. I love listening to podcasts. Okay. Especially when I'm walking. These are a few that I listen to on a regular basis. I didn't put any of the ones in here that I listen to around college admissions and what have you, because there are so many, and I didn't want anyone to say, oh, you didn't mention mine. But I love this In Class with Carr. This is with Karen Hunter and Professor Ray Carr out of Howard University. How I Built This with Guy Raz. is like fantastic because it's just so economics radio, which was really good. But find those podcasts that may be of interest to you because there are so many of them. So again, look for those. TED Talks, that's right.
I'm using the chat because I don't know if you're going to get me or not.
So tell me, what do you like?
Oh, we're cutting in and out. I don't think you're going to be able to hear me.
My internet is like acting up.
Yeah, it's okay.
Any podcasts that you like?
No, I am not.
Okay, so I know you said TED Talks. Any podcasts? No. You know what? Okay. Yeah, I'm a big person. I wouldn't start actually during COVID, and I would have to go out and walk, and because I was walking by myself, after a while it got boring for me, just kind of walking by myself. So I started listening to podcasts, and still do. And but sometimes the internet just makes me crazy. Come on, coming up, folks. It's just, I know I paid my bill. And the last one is, you know what? Just be. If you don't want to really do anything, then do it. Just be, just chill out. April was mentioning that's a great way to read a book. I was just telling somebody today, I'm so bad on my Audible credits. I have like 5 credits, so I'm a little behind in reading my Audible books.
Yeah. I share my credits with my kids.
It's just making a yes. So her son had shared some credits with her recently, so that's good. I for this internet, I don't know what Spurs over here doing, but I'm not too happy with him. But we're almost done. So you know that I love talking about. Whoops. You know that I love talking about how we need to always read to talk about a book. So here's today's book. Now it's a little different than what I usually do. So it's not a storybook. It's actually called 3,000 Questions. And it's great to like start those conversations, in the family or whatever, and just open it up and pick a question. Like, I just open it up anywhere and hit one question. Question number 114. What is your favorite thing to celebrate? Have those conversations. And you know why I like this? Because they have to write these essays that show some self-reflection. This gives them an opportunity to start practicing how to answer those types of questions, how to demonstrate their values by answering questions. Here's one. Who or what brings your wild side to life? Ooh, that's an interesting one. I don't know about that one. Who makes your favorite pair of shoes? But that's okay. My favorite pair of shoes is actually a sneaker company, Hoka.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wear them every day. I don't know if I could go wear regular shoes with him anymore. Kind of got away from that.
No.
April, anything you want to say about any of these? Just be or what have you?
No, I love, if you can hear me, family time, I think is huge. I tell all my students that there's 3 requirements while we go through the whole college process. They have to sleep, they have to spend time with their family and be nice, and they have to have some fun with friends. So I think all those things are really useful and good. And what does that look like? Um, I just like to be in a space together and talk with my people over a puzzle or a board game. We get too competitive at my
Yes.
house, but so such as it is, my boys were all athletes growing up. They love to go out and do a sport.
It's so funny. I love that you mentioned a puzzle because, as part of this broadcast tonight, for those people that are watching, now you have to be watching. Um, I have this wonderful puzzle that I want to give away. It has 500 pieces. It's called The Journey of Lifelong Learning, and it's by this young Black woman, Danielle Koch, whose products are now selling in Target. She has journals, she has puzzles, and a few other things. She was written up. Actually, I read about her on LinkedIn. That's how I found out. And it says, so it shows somebody going through that whole lifelong learning where receiving new information and applying it, studying, growing, and changing perspectives, ending up with being willing to fail and to keep moving forward. Now, if you want to be in here for the drawing, one of the things you have to do, please put in the chat, take a break. So if you want to be entered in there, you have to take a break in there. April has to leave us. Thank you so much, April, for being here. And who knows, maybe I'll see you again.
Of course you will. You can't get rid of me. Always a pleasure.
All right. Again, April is here with us from outside Seattle, Washington. Thank you so much, April. So again, make sure you put in your comments. Take a break. If you don't put this in here, you cannot be entered into the drawing. So I'm waiting for that. Let's get some more in here. We've got a few in here. So again, this is what you get, this wonderful puzzle. It's really pretty cool. I bought one. I have to admit, I bought one for myself because I didn't always have the patience to do a puzzle, but now I'm finding that sometimes I just need something to do that relieves stress, and it's just kind of like mindless and what have you. The other thing I love to do, I do Wordle every morning. I don't know if many of you know what Wordle is, but it's an app on your phone. Well, actually, it's not even an app on your phone. It's a website that you go to, and you've got to guess this 5-letter word, and you have 6 chances to do it, and it's a different word every day. So, again, that's another way I like to take a break. So again, come on, we've got a few more. Debelina, thank you so much for being here, and you're welcome for the conversation. I had so much fun talking with April. So folks that may be joining in now and at the end, April is one of my colleagues. She is also an independent educational consultant, and she is based outside of Seattle, Washington. So again, last call to put it into the chat, to put in take a break. This make a great Christmas present for someone else if you're not interested in puzzles. So let's get it out there. So I'm going to give you like another couple of seconds, and then I am going to go ahead and do the draw. So I need one more person to do it, or else it's just going to automatically go to the person that I see who has put a comment in there. So come on. We need another comment in there for someone in order to do the draw, or it will be automatically given to the person that has put take a break in there. Okay, I'm not going to hold us up any longer. So I'm going to count down to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the winner is, because no one else put a name in there. So the winner is Debelina Chatterjee. Debelina, I will get this to you. I know your address. I know how to get in touch with you. So you will get this wonderful puzzle. Like I said, it is so much fun. I was doing it on my dining room table, but unfortunately my cat kept thinking these pieces were there for her to play with. So we were fussing a bit. So I've got to actually get one of those puzzle mat things where you can like cover it up. But I will get this to you. Um, I'll get it out in the mail this week. And you're welcome, Devalina. Thank you so much for joining in this evening. Now, folks, remember, I really want you to take heed and make sure that you are thinking about what types of things you can be doing over the break. But more than anything else, I want to make sure you're practicing self-care. So just getting up every day and binging on Netflix or just hanging out in your pajamas until 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or like I do sometimes all day, then do what you need to do. So this is really about doing what works for you. So again, everyone, thank you so much for being here this evening, and I will see you next Monday at 7 p.m. I may have a co-host with me, or I may have a guest. So again, take care and have a fantastic evening, everyone. Good night.